back to High Point once again. Here comes a brand new video in the lecture series of cultural studies, and today we are going to look at how Marxism and cultural studies are related, and how Marxist ideologies and Marxist theories are relevant in cultural studies. So far we have seen how structuralism, post-structuralism, post-colonialism are related to cultural studies, and how these theories are relevant in cultural studies as well. Today's topic is how Marxism is related to cultural studies. So about Marxism, we will have a detailed study in the video series, in the lecture series known as Literary Theory and Criticism. There you can find that, but still here we are looking at the connection between Marxism and cultural studies. So if you have forgot to watch any of the previous videos in this session, in this lecture series, I have given the whole playlist, whole videos in the form of a playlist in the I button. You can go there and click there, and you can watch them, the previous videos, if anyone of you have skipped any of the videos, because I won't be mentioning that terms and things that we have already learned in cultural studies so far again and again. I will be just mentioning them, so assuming that you have already listened to those videos related to those concepts, and we will move on discussing about it. Okay, so, and if you are interested to have free materials, free study materials for your UGC NET, JRF, English language and literature, then don't forget to follow me on Instagram. My Instagram ID is Ligimaria90, and you will get immense number of free materials on a daily basis there in my Instagram. So if you are interested to have, follow me there, and also suggest my Instagram page to your friends, those who are also striving for UGC NET, JRF, English language and literature. And if you are interested to have your NET in 2022, you are determined to have it, and you are looking for some online courses for this matter, then you can obviously go and visit my website www.highpoint.in, in which we have already shared 900 plus audio lectures, 300 plus downloadable materials, and more than 3000 questions in the form of practice question papers and the previous question papers, which are library attemptable there. So these PDF materials that we have there, they are all downloadable, and you can use them throughout your career as a English teacher or literature teacher. So if you are interested to look at what you have to study, how we have divided the entire NTA syllabus for you, go and check my website and have the free trial, have the demo materials, and see what we have provided there. And if you are interested in any of the courses that we are offering with 15% of off, you can join us now, and also you can have the entire thing that we have provided there. Not only that, but you will get much more. You will get definitely 2 bonuses. What are they? Weekly test in every Saturdays, and also personalized study guidelines. The topics for weekly tests are pre-announced, and you will get, once you join for the course, you will get this pre-announced list of topics for every weekly test, and also you will get a personalized study guideline from us according to your schedules and your preferences of topics, and these are customized especially for you. So if you are interested, definitely message me in this number, WhatsApp me in this number, or you can DM me on Instagram page as well. And also we are maintaining a WhatsApp group in which I'm sharing daily quiz question and answer, and also news and updates related to NTA, which is NET, as well as some study material. Then if you want to join and be a part of that WhatsApp group, then don't forget to go to the description box and click the link and join, or if not, directly message me in this number. I'll share the link, and you can, and your friends, those who are interested, also can join it. Okay, so that's all about it. Moving on, let's have today's topic, Marxism and cultural studies. Now, let's have an introduction about this topic. First of all, Marxist cultural studies originates in the work of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the 19th century. So, mainly Marxist cultural studies as well as Marxist theory mainly originated with the works of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels in the 19th century, especially in the second half of the 19th century. The Marx-Engels analysis of society and the conditions of production spilled over into the analysis of culture. So mainly they were talking about society, societal conditions. So that naturally related to culture. Okay, you cannot study a society, any element of a society or societal conditions of a society. You cannot skip the part of culture from it. So it actually Marxist Engels analysis of, or Marx Engels analysis of society and societal conditions of production spilled over to the analysis of culture. That means they were actually studying the production and consumption of goods, production and consumption of various kinds of products, and how economy is working behind them. So their analysis, such analysis actually paved the way to Marxist cultural analysis and studies. So, for example, take the example how advertisements propagate that the acquisition of an object marks a certain lifestyle. See, what all products that you are consuming in a daily basis, what all things you are buying from the market. That means what all products that you are using, the way you are dressing, the things that you are using, the brands that you are using. So all this they indicate a certain kind of lifestyle for you, right? All these indicate a kind of a kind of identity for you, and this will make you to belong into a certain kind of class, right? Usage of certain brands determines your belongingness in a class, right? So class is something that is very fundamental to a society according to Marxist theory. And you know these consumption of products, certain consumption of products and services, that will make you to belong to a certain class. So if you are using very branded, high branded products, that makes you belonging, that make you a member of an elite class or upper class. And if you are using only medium branded things or low class things, then again that defines your identity, or that defines your class in which you belong. So how families are represented soap operas. So you can also see that how families are represented in soap operas. The image of the caring wife. So wives, women will always represented in an image of who is caring wife or caring mother, often actually mask or cover the fact that she has little economic independence. Actually, usually women in soap operas, women in advertisements, women in TV serials, they are represented like they don't have any financial independence. Even though they have very little financial independency, they are portrayed like they are having a very happy life. They are portrayed like they are having a wonderful life of caring their children, caring their family, and suffering all these things for them. It is a happy, only a happy thing for you, for them. It's not that they don't love their family, I'm not talking about that, but they are portrayed like that. Women are happy even though they don't have any financial independence, even though they don't have any freedom, even though their individualities are not respected. Even then they are happy if they are a family, if they have a family. So in that way women are presented. So all these things are actually showing the way in which the class are acting, how certain consumption of certain things are make you happy, okay, make you belong to a class. So that's how these consumer products are linked to your identity. So it is important that you have to think how this is linking, how this consumption of certain products are linked to your identity, and why does the restaurant designate a separate space in family rooms. Restaurant designate a separate space for family room. There will be in every other restaurant there will be a family room. What does that designate? So in that way it is again a consumption of a product and services provided there in that restaurant, right? But there is a separate room. There is no separate room for bachelors, no separate room for women, no separate room for men, but there is a separate session for family. So how come that is related to the production and consumption of that services and products available there in that restaurant? So all these things are relevant questions, and you have to ask and seek answers for that. So that's how again Marxist ideologies are in a way directly or indirectly uh, are helpful in analyzing some cultural artifacts and cultural things in cultural studies. Now let's go deep into it. So what is Marxist cultural studies? The capitalist mode of production justified and naturalized itself through certain patterns of thought. So, this capitalist mode of production. There will be MNCs, there will be multinational companies, and they will be massively producing their products. And the way in which they are marketing these products, the way in which these products are represented to us, it actually naturalized and justified certain kind of patterns of thought. Okay, that's how in advertisements women are presented in such a way. Take the example of baby food advertisement. You will never see a man, or you will only see a man accompanied with a woman in baby products, in baby food or baby clothes, because always this idea is like this, women should nurture, mother should be a nurturing character as far as her children concerned. There is no duty as such for a man or a father of the children, so as to nurture and take care of these children. It is always the duty of the mother. So it's a kind of pattern, certain patterns of thought are maintained and naturalized and justified. How? Because of this capitalist mode of production and marketing of that product. The exploitative economic relations of the factory are carried over into a social realm. The economic base influences the social superstructure. So you have to understand, whenever you hear about Marxist theory, you have to understand two things. The society is divided into base and superstructure. Base is the working class, those who are actually involved in actual production of the the products. Actually, those who are working in the production of certain products, and or any other products, or the super social superstructures are religion, elite people, or education. All these things are superstructures. Actually, the superstructures are feeding upon the base. Superstructures are there and they are manipulating and exploiting the base. So the exploiting economic relations of the factory means there will be owners of the factory, those who are maintaining the factory, high class society people, and there will be working class people. So they are actually having these owners of the factory, or those who are actually having the entire profit for themselves, and they are only giving a certain amount of money to those who are working, really working for this factory, for in the production of this particular item that they are producing. So it actually, the working force or the working people's labor has got exploited by this high class economic people. So that exploitive tendencies that are there in the factory, they are actually carried out to this social realm, that beyond that factory it is carried out through their product, and the economic base actually influence the social superstructure. And classes are basic units in social conflict. So because of this class differences, there are always social conflict or class conflict, and classes are basic unit of any other social conflict. If take the example of any other social conflict, you can find an economic imbalance there. All the social conflicts basically because of this economic balance. That means all the root cause of every other social conflict is classes, differences in classes. Class membership is defined by the ownership or lack of ownership of means of production. So if you have certain access to means of production, then you are belonging to an upper class or a powerful group. Okay, so class membership, your identity as belonging to a class, that is defined by whether you have the power or whether you have or not access to the ownership of means of production. The working class is made up of those who sell their labor power. So working class people, they are the people who actually sell their labor power. So if you have access to that power, then you belong to a working class. Okay, so working class people, they are selling their labor power. They could work in factories, so their labor power is sold if you are a working class member. The capitalist class of those that purchase labor power. So the capitalist class of people, those who are belonging to capitalist class, they actually purchase this labor power from labor class, and they exploit this labor power in producing their product and marketing them. The third concept that you have to understand is that the oppressed classes, however, believe this inequality as natural or preordained and do not even recognize that they are oppressed. So just like most of the women feel for centuries and thousands of years that they are, since they have born as women, they have to suffer all these things. It is natural that women are meant to suffer all these things. Women are designed to suffer all these things. It is exploitation and subjugation. Everything is so normal for a woman. Just like that, oppressed class of people, because of the propagation and because of this ideological oppressions done by the capitalist or upper class people, they have the tendency to believe that this inequality that they are suffering is quite natural and it is preordained and predetermined. Nobody can change it. So they don't, recognize themselves as oppressed. They don't feel that they are oppressed because they feel that it is natural for them to suffer all these things, just like women believe. The system of thought and representation that helps legitimize inequality and oppression is termed ideology. So how come these people believe in this inequality, and how come they cannot recognize themselves as oppressed even though they have got exploited by this upper class capitalist class of people? Because through certain ideology, through certain thoughts and system of thought and representation, using certain ideologies, they have legitimized, they have naturalized this inequality and oppression. Because you are a woman, you have to go through all these things. Because you are a woman, you cannot travel in night. Because you are a woman, you have to give most importance to your family than your career. Because you are a woman, you have to get married in this certain age. Because you are a woman, you cannot dress in a certain way. So it's like, using certain ideology, in this case patriarchal ideologies, your oppression and your inequality that you are suffering got legitimized and naturalized. How? Not directly it is done, but using some ideology. In the same way, class is also legitimized. Class is also defined something. If you belong to certain class, if you don't have money or access to any means of production, naturally you are meant to have this inequality. You are meant to suffer this oppression. And using ideologies and represents and systems of thought, these things are legitimized. Ideology is a false consciousness that prevents the recognition of oppression by the oppressed. So because of this kind of representations and usage of ideology, the oppressed people, they are prevented to recognize that they are even oppressed. See, certain women, they cannot recognize that they are exploited, they are oppressed, and they are not even others are considering the women or the family, other family members, they are not considering them as human being. Even they cannot recognize it because they feel that it's their duty to be like that. So it's a false consciousness. The ideology gives them a false consciousness, and that false consciousness believes them or make them believe that all these things are natural to them and it is preordained, and they cannot even recognize that they are even oppressed, and they are oppressed people. They cannot recognize their oppression. Okay. The next concept is that ideology is sustained and reproduced through cultural forms such as art. Culture must be understood in relation to the economic conditions of the age. So, ideology is sustained all these years, throughout these ages. Ideology is sustained and reproduced through cultural forms such as art. See, how come you are propagating this ideology? You cannot go to each and every other person and you cannot directly propagate this ideology. How come this ideology is propagated and this false consciousness is developed among the oppressed or lower class people? How come that is possible? It is through various kinds of cultural forms such as art, education, through you can say various cultural artifacts, this ideology is sustained, especially through art, especially through literature. You can find that in novels and poetry and various other forms of art and literature. They'll propagate the idea that this oppressed class of people, they are like that, they are meant to be like that. There is no other way that they could come out of this, because it is so natural. So it will represent like that. Their condition is represented like that. So cultural forms, usage of cultural form directly linked to the propagation of this ideology. Culture must be understood in relation to the economic conditions of the age. So a culture is something that is there not only because people are communicating, not only because representations and meanings are made. And how come all these things are happening? Because of the cultural economic conditions. Economy plays a greater role in creating identities and representation. If you are economically independent, and there will be a different kind of ideology, different kind of meaning, different kind of identity you have. So whenever you are studying a culture of a particular place or a particular society or group, you have to study that in relation to the economic condition of the age. What kind of economic condition you can see in that age, in that place. Okay, take the example of Indian society. Decades back, the economic condition was so different from now. Like, those who are belonging to the upper caste, they have obviously a greater economic condition, while those who are belonging to the lower caste, they have very low or poor or even nothing was there, as their economy or economic condition was so poor. But the things that are changed now, or somewhat it is changing now. So if you want to study the culture of today's time, you have to consider the economic condition of this age and this particular time. Okay, there has a correlation between the socio-economic conditions and the kinds of culture works produced. So there is a connection, a correlation between the socio-economic conditions and the cultural products or cultural things are produced during that time. So in order to reinforce the socio-economic conditions of the time, there will be always class. People, those who have at most access to the means of the production, and people don't have access to the means of production. So there will be always that difference, right? So this correlation between the socio-economic conditions and the products that are produced and circulated during that era, they have direct connection, because using these cultural products and cultural items, the socio-economic things are reinforced, or this ideology is reinforced by the elite, or those who have the access to the means of production. Okay, I hope that is clear. And if you have any doubts, don't forget to ask me directly in this number given on the screen, or you can obviously comment below. The capitalist economy creates illusions about itself. So one thing they are using, like, they are using ideologies through various things, through their marketing strategies, through their advertisements, through the cultural artifacts they are spreading. So through various things they are spreading their ideology. More than that, they also creates an illusion about itself. What is that? The workers are under the illusion that they are free and unexploited, that the capitalist has a legitimate right to the surplus and the commodities, money, and the capital have properties and powers of their own. So they actually spreading a kind of illusion about themselves, that those are working under them, the working force involving in this capitalist economy, they are free and they are unexploited, and they have an agency to choose themselves. And the capitalist, they have legitimized themselves that they have the right to have all this money, all these community commodities, and they are having some properties and powers of their own to have all these things. Since you are worker, since you belong to the working class and working under this factory, under this capitalist community, you just cannot have all this money, you just cannot have access to certain communities, you cannot have access to surplus, you cannot have certain properties and powers. but you are, in a way, you are free and unexploited. Since we have this privilege, since it is natural, as we are capitalist, we are legitimized to have all these things. You are not, we are not exploiting you, but simply we have this power status. So in that way, it creates an illusion that everything is so natural between the worker and the capitalist. Okay, this is fetishism, where properties are assigned to objects. Okay, so when they spread this kind of illusion, this is known as, it is a kind of fetishism. It is a kind of fetishism where properties are assigned to objectives. Object means, if you are using certain kind of objects or products, you are having, you get the illusion that you belong to a certain kind of class, a certain kind of properties are acquired. Antonio Gramsci emphasized the institutional and cultural basis of ideology. So Antonio Gramsci is a great thinker of cultural studies as well as Marxist ideology, and Antonio Gramsci is the one who actually bring about the term subaltern. Okay, remember that. Antonio Gramsci, he emphasized and stressed the institutional cultural basis of ideology. Ideology, for Althusser, constructs the individual as objects of his system. So ideology is a thing that propagates various things, right? Indirectly, through various representations, through various institutions, through various power structures and cultural forms, ideology is propagated. Various kinds of ideologies are propagated. And this will create, so ideology from Marxist point of view, you have to understand that Althusser says this, that it constructs the individual as subjects of a system. It gives them the identity necessary to the functioning of the existing state of affairs. So ideology is not the thing that you will get your own ideology. It is never meant that, but ideology will give you a certain kind of identity that is necessary for the functioning of the existing state of affairs. That means in order to carry out the existing, working system, how this entire how this entire system is working, and it will, ideology will give you a certain kind of identity which is necessary to be suitable in this state of affairs, in this functioning of the existing state of affairs, while making them feel as if they are free agents. So this will, ideology will also give you an idea that, a kind of feel that you are free, you are free agents, and you have your own choices in your life, and your capacity is as a free individual is also immense. It will give you an illusion, it will give you an impression of like that, but never, you are never a free person. What else is the term interpellation? So this kind of illusion, or illusion of being a free agent in this entire system while you are not free at all, that is known as interpellation. So that status of a person is known as interpellation by Louis Althusser. So Louis Althusser is the one who brought about the term known as interpellation, and it is system of representation. So interpellation is the system of representation through which, system of representation of certain ideologies, through which you got the illusion, that you got the feeling that you are free, and you are free agents of your own life, and that actually a false impression, fault representation that you are getting. State power is maintained through repressive state apparatus like the police, the army, law, court, and prison, that operate through actual or threats of coercive force or violence. See, here we are discussing about repressive state apparatus and ideological state apparatus. It's like, it's here. Repressive state apparatus and ideological state apparatus. What are these two? See, these two are two modes of maintaining power. Okay, two ways in which institutions and power structures are maintaining their power. Okay, state power is maintained. See, the state power means the governmental power, especially the power that the government has upon people. It is maintained through various apparatus, various tools that they possess, like police, army, law court, prison. So through all these tools and apparatus, they are maintaining this power, and they are quite obviously visible in our society. Like, State power, this army, police, law, prison, everything is under the control of the state, right? Even though they are separate institutions, they are under the power, under the control of state power. State in the sense government power, authorities. So they are repressive state apparatus that are used by state power or government authorities in order to maintain their power over the people. So we are actually obeying the rules and regulations not because we actually love these laws and we actually love how these laws can be beneficial to our society. No, but because we are obeying all these rules and regulations to some extent because we feel that don't uh, if we don't follow this law system, we will get punished, and state has this power to punish us. So we actually fearing this power that the state possesses through, and this state can exercise the power through the obvious institutions that it has power over, like police, army, law court, and prison. So these apparatus and tools which are used in order to maintain the power by authorities, government authorities especially, that are known as repressive state apparatus, they are very direct and directly they can exercise this thing. So they actually provide some threats. They will force. They will indulge in violence. State organized violence. They'll indulge in and they will maintain their power through this repressive state apparatus. And but power is also maintained through the active consent of the subject. So it's not that always they will directly exercise their power, but they will maintain their active present, their active authority over people through the active consent of the subject. That means we all agree that we need a government here to protect us. We believe that since we have a responsible government, we have chosen them to rule, they will actually provide protection to us through police, army, law courts, and prison. So entirely these repressive state apparatuses are represented in different ways, represented and portrayed in different ways to its subjects. So they will get a consent. These authorities will get a consent in order to exercise their power. And this is achieved through ideological state apparatus. How this consent will be achieved through achieved from the people or achieved from the subjects through ideological state apparatus, like political groups will be there, media will be there, education system will be there, religion will be there, art will be there. So through various kinds of power institutions, various kinds of cultural products, they'll achieve this kind of a consent from the subjects in order to exercise their power. It's not that government is there. They're not simply there because we have given our consent to rule over us. And they have access and authority over police, army, law court, and prison in order to maintain the peacefulness of the society. They are propagating like that. But actually, we are well aware that, and or indirectly, we know that if we break the law, we will get punished. And we know that this state has the power to punish us. Because of that, we are obeying these rules to some extent, not because that we are in love with the government or we love the idea that our obeying the rules and paying taxes will immensely make the state prosperous. No, because we believe that if we skip obeying these rules and regulations, we will get punished and police can come, army can come, law courts will be there. But these things, police, army, law courts, and prison, these things are represented in such a way that they are actually there for you to for your own protections. How come they will have this consent from the subjects? Through ideological state apparatus, like, and these ideological state apparatus are also under the control of the state or the government. Like political groups, they are under the control of the state. The media, they are under the control of the state. Education system, they are under the control of the system, state system. Religion, art, everything is under the control of state. And how come they got the idea? How come they got this much of power, authority? Because As subject, we have given our own consent. Okay. So I hope repressive and ideological state apparatus are clear to you. If you have that, comment it below. Culture is the expression of class conflict and social relations that are structured by and through power relations. So cultural conflict is the basic thing. Why there is a culture? How come there is communication and the culture was involved? Because of the class conflict. You can define any other relationship, any other social conflict happening inside a society as class conflict because of this economic imbalance. So why classes are there? Because of this economic imbalance, and it is every other time it is there in every other ages of this in every other age of the history. You can find class struggles. In the coming ages too, there will be class struggles. In the present age too, there are class struggles. So these class conflict and social relations that actually structured through various power relations, and because of this, as a result of this class conflict and social relations, and these things are structured by power relations, that's how we have a culture. In a culture we need representations to have, how culture is formed. Culture is everyday practices, and these everyday practices will bring about certain representations. Through that we have certain meanings. So class conflict and social relations are formed through these daily activities, and these are happening through power structures or involved with power structures or power relations. That's how culture is formed. So culture is a representation or expression of all these class conflict or social relations, and all these things are structured by power relations. So I hope this was clear to you. Let's move on to the conclusion of this video session. Economic conditions determine social and cultural formation. So economic conditions in the sense who all are have the access to the actual production, means of production, and who all are the consumers of this production or produced things, or who all are working behind actually in bringing about this product. Okay, there is a working force, and another session is there who are actually manipulating this working force. So economic conditions and economic conflict between between people, between classes, actually determines social and cultural formation. Ideology that reinforces class differences and power relations functions through culture. So ideology as a thing who actually as a thing which circulates the idea of class differences as normal, as something that is preordained and all. This actually functions through culture. This ideology is working through culture in maintaining and naturalizing this oppression and class conflicts. Culture is often a mode of concealing economic conditions where images and representations make us believe that these conditions are natural. So, through these ideologies, which is working inside a culture, it is often there is a tendency that this culture will conceal or hide this economic condition, this unnaturalness of cultural differences, but it will propagate the idea that all these things are natural through their ideologies, and ideologies will work in culture only. So that's how Marxist theories, since Marxist theories are all about cultural conflicts and economic conditions of a society, it is related to cultural studies and relevant in cultural studies as well. So I hope this entire video session was quite clear to you. If not, I know this is pretty much important and pretty much difficult for you to understand, but still watch the video multiple times, and if you still have doubts and you have certain points that you cannot understand, then don't hesitate to message me in here and comment and ask the doubts, and also you can directly message me in this WhatsApp number given. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram to have the whole free study materials that we have provided there. And also go and visit my website www.highpoint.in, in which So many things are waiting for you if you are looking for some serious but simplified study materials for your NTA UGC NET JRF preparation. So if you want to know more, don't hesitate to WhatsApp me or call me in this number given here. And if you want to join the WhatsApp group that we have mentioned earlier, go and visit the description box and click the link and join, or if not, message me directly in this number. I'll be glad to make you join in that WhatsApp. And still, if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to it if you are interested in this video. And also, if you want to have more study materials related to NTA UGC NET, subscribe to my channel and also press the bell icon so that you don't miss any of the updations that we have that we are making in here. So let me meet in the next video session. Until then, stay tuned to High Point and watch the two videos that you can see on the screen. And ta-ta, bye bye.